Word of the Conclave, as recorded by Juves, historian of the Conclave. An ancient and terrible force trembles deep within Xal'atath, blade of the Black Empire. Though this dagger can serve as a powerful tool for those who wield shadow magic, tread cautiously. Xal'atath has a mind of its own. Ignore its maddening whispers. Do not trust the lies it spins. Take from it what you need, but always remember that the dark presence in the blade is not your ally. Xal'atath had its dark genesis in an age long before the Horde and the Alliance, an age when the legendary old gods and their Black Empire engulfed the world in shadow. There are many theories concerning the blade's creation. The more outlandish claim that it is all that remains of a forgotten old god who was consumed by its kin in the early days of the Black Empire. Other theories state that Xal'atath is the claw of Y'Shaarj, ripped from the old god's monstrous form and bestowed upon its servants for use in ritual sacrifices. As unbelievable as these stories are, perhaps there is truth to them. Xal'atath pulses with the foul essence of the old gods. It is even said that the blade can grant its owner visions of the Black Empire, but all who have looked upon such horrors have lost themselves to madness. Mighty beings known as the Titan-Forged eventually defeated the Black Empire. They shackled the old gods and their minions in prisons beneath the earth. Harmony descended on Azeroth, but it was not to last. Xal'atath made sure of that. The blade remained in the world, passing from mortal hand to mortal hand, and leaving only death and chaos in its wake. One of the unfortunate souls who took up Xal'atath was a troll named Zando. The ambitious witch doctor hailed from the mighty Gurabashi tribe. His rivals had ousted him from a position of power and prestige, and Zando spent his days nursing dreams of retribution. It was a simple thing for Xal'atath to latch onto Zando's anger and twist him into a pawn. Guided by Xal'atath's whispers, Zando and a handful of loyal witch doctors sought out a strange mound of blackened stone. Troll mystics had forbidden their people from disturbing the site, but Zando ignored the taboo. He believed the mound held great power he could use to defeat his rivals. He and his followers would soon discover what the mound really was: the body of a slumbering servant of the old gods named Kithix. Xal'atath urged Zando to make blood offerings to the creature. With his mind corrupted by the blade, the witch doctor did not hesitate. He dismembered some of his companions with the dagger, and then he used their blood and organs as reagents to awaken the monstrosity. In a final act, Zando buried his gore-stained dagger into Kithix's hide, and the giant rumbled to life. Zando and his followers were never seen again. Trolls would later visit the site and find only scattered bones picked clean of flesh. After Kithix awakened, it brought the shadow of war upon Azeroth. The monstrous creature rallied other old god minions to its side and launched a campaign to grind troll civilization into dust. Unlike the trolls who had roused it, Kithix knew how to harness Xal'atath's true potential. Calling on the blade's power, the Cathrak spread pestilence among the trolls to weaken their bodies, and it bombarded them with visions of death to weaken their minds. Though the trolls would eventually destroy Kithix and defeat its armies, Xal'atath would haunt the dreams of the war survivors until the end of their days. Many tribes would recount legends about the Black Blade that had nearly driven them to extinction. From Chapter 4 of Modgud's Doom, concerning the day the Dark Iron Sorceress acquired Xal'atath. Modgud embraced her clan's long history of studying arcane magic. As the wife of sorcerer Thane Tharson, she had the first pick of the Dark Iron's most powerful enchanted artifacts. Yet she was never quite satisfied with the offerings on hand. Modgud would often dispatch her servants to find new relics that she could study and use as instruments in the creation of spells. One of these dwarves returned with a blade that thrummed with dark energy. Modgud was immediately taken by it. For days, she retreated into her archives to unravel the dagger's mysteries. At times, she could be seen talking to the weapon. When she later emerged, Modgud called for the dwarf who had brought the blade in order to thank him. No one could find him. No one could even remember his name or his face. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. From Chapter 23 of Modgud's Doom, concerning the battle between the Dark Iron Clan and the Wildhammer Clan in Grim Batol. War golems smashed through Grim Batol's gates, and the Dark Iron soldiers poured into the Wildhammer capital. Bitter rivals these two clans were. Neither side showed the other mercy. The Wildhammer's bravery was their greatest weapon, and Modgud sought to take that from them. Under the thunderous clash of hammer against axe, she screamed an incantation and wove her profane spellwork. She slid her enchanted dagger over her palm and let her blood spill onto the stones. Modgud's foul ritual brought Grim Batol's shadows to life. They sprang from the city's dark nooks and crannies, falling upon the Wildhammers with blades forged of night. From Chapter 27 of Modgud's Doom, recounting the final moments of the Dark Iron invasion of Grim Batol. By some feat of courage, Thane Cardros rallied his remaining Wildhammer warriors and launched a desperate counterattack against the Dark Irons. Cardros bowled through his enemies with the single-minded focus of a war golem, only coming to a stop when he found Modgud. Here, the fate of Wildhammer and Dark Iron would be decided. The sorceress unleashed her dark power on Cardros, but he pressed his attack. Then Modgud reached for her black blade, the weapon that had turned Grim Batol into a den of nightmare. It was not there. She had lost her cherished weapon. Or, as some would claim, the weapon had abandoned her. With one mighty blow of his hammer, Cardros mortally wounded Modgud and secured victory for the Wildhammers. It is said that as the sorceress lay dying, she repeated one phrase over and over again. "You promised." Decades after Modgud lost to Xal'atath, the blade was taken up by a human bishop named Natalie Seline. She had lived through the First War, when the Orcish horde invaded Azeroth and conquered Stormwind. After the war, Seline realized that to defeat the green-skinned orcs, humanity would need to study the strange powers they wielded. She closely examined their magics, and she visited battle sites where their dark arts had befouled the land. From her investigation, she learned of an otherworldly blade that the orcs had once used in their bloody rituals, a blade that held sway over the shadows themselves. Troubled that such a profane weapon could exist, Seline swore to hunt it down and destroy it in the name of the light. From The Secrets of the Void by Natalie Seline. The moment I touched the blade, a name was spoken in my mind. Xal'atath. I knew then that I could not destroy the dagger, not yet. How can one defeat a power she does not understand? And I had much to understand. Very much indeed. Xal'atath whispered to me in waking and in dreaming. It taught me that there is more to this world than light. There is also void. In the ebb and flow between these two forces, one can find power and knowledge beyond anything the Church of the Holy Light has ever revealed to us. One can cross the divide between light and void. One can pull strands from each side and weave a tapestry of day and night. Of course, there are consequences. There always are when walking in the shadows. By the time of the Second War, Natalie Seline had learned how to wield shadow magic from Xal'atath. She taught her dangerous arts to other worshippers of the light and rallied them against the Horde. Seline and her followers waged their war in secret, hunting down orcs across the human kingdoms. Xal'atath continued whispering in Seline's mind, slowly unraveling her sanity. Despite her noble intentions, she became more and more obsessed with the blade and the mysteries of the void. And so did Selene's companions. They were overzealous in their campaign against the orcs, putting innocent lives at risk. Some strayed too far into shadow, forsaking the light completely. Though Seline urged her followers to use caution, her calls were ignored and even treated with suspicion. It is unclear exactly what happened to the former bishop, but some sources state that Xal'atath incited a rebellion among her allies. It convinced them that Seline was holding them back from their true potential, holding back knowledge and power that they could have if they killed her. In the dead of night, the conspirators murdered Seline and then took Xal'atath for themselves. For years, the Curantor Magi in Dalaran had watched Natalie Seline, greatly troubled by her dark teachings. After her death, they set out to scour her writings from history. Magi picked through the villages and cities Seline had traveled, gathering up every scroll and tome that she had penned. The Curantor hid these writings in Dalaran, hoping that would be the end of Selene's dangerous brand of magic. Yet despite their efforts, they could not bury the doctrine of balance she had preached. In the years to come, others would take up her teachings and devote themselves to the light and the void. The Magi also knew of Xal'atath, but they never found it. Like Selene's teachings, the blade would not simply fade away. It had more minds to twist, more pawns to use, and more innocence to terrorize.